Hello. So this video today is going to be about gratitude. Not quite sure which way it's going to go because I didn't make notes for my video today. It's just going to be kind of free form. However, I do want to touch on gratitude offerings, gratitude journaling, and maybe gratitude dancing. So we'll see. Um, so first and foremost, let's go into, I guess, the angle that some people are familiar with, which is gratitude journaling. My last video was about journaling, and I forgot to mention in that video that I do have two gratitude journals. I have a gratitude journal that is just like you list 5 things you're grateful for each day, and then it has a few little quotes sprinkled into it that make you feel kind of uplifted as you read them. And then I also started just on a simple, like little notepad, like a gratitude journal for my husband, because there was a point where way earlier in the beginning of the year, we were going through a rough patch, and I found it really useful to write down, like, excuse me, 3 to 5 things that I was grateful for about him that day, that week. It depended how many times a week I did it. Uh, if I did it like once a week, I'd probably try to write like 5 things. And if I did it a couple times a week, I'd do like 3 and 3. Um, and then that way I could really focus on what he was doing right and focus on what was working instead of like focusing on all the things that weren't working, which was then causing us to like sink further, which, yeah, we had sunk pretty far. And now it's like amazing because it's just like when you can go so deep into like some really heavy energies with a person, it means you can go just as high into some really beautiful energies with that same person. And like my hat, I just feel like so blessed with where my husband and I are at and at this point in our journey because it's taken us a lot of work and grit to get here. And so anywho, gratitude journal for him. And I heard when I was in a women's boot camp, another woman had started a gratitude journal for her husband because she was in a similar boat. So this is great for women that maybe you're emasculating your husbands, and maybe they're not like showing up in the way you'd like. However, I learned recently, like when a woman does kind of emasculate her husband all the time and belittle him all the time, it's usually because there's fear that's triggered within her. And so she is trying to like nudge him into helping her be protected. And instead, she's kind of pushing him away. So if you do the gratitude practice with a gratitude journal for your husband, it'll help transcend some of that fear. Acknowledge it's there. Maybe that's why I mentioned that in this video. Some of you, this might resonate. Acknowledge it's there, transcend that fear, and put gratitude there instead. And through repetition, the gratitude um, will benefit you because your husband will begin to show up in the ways you desire him to do so because you're looking at what he's doing right. And I feel called to say with that, also, if this is resonating for women in the situation, to look up the book by Mama Gina called Own to Operate, like a woman's hand guide to men or something like that. I don't know. You can find it on Amazon. It's really useful and it'll help you in your gratitude practice and correcting things. However, this video is not about that. So let's go back to gratitude. So gratitude journal for your partner is a great thing to have in a relationship. Husbands, you can do this for your wives too. Like maybe you realize like you've been putting her in the position of like your mom and not your wife. And so maybe doing a gratitude journal where you really write the things you're grateful for that she's doing as a wife in your relationship. So you can focus on that wife role, that wife energy, instead of just putting her as mom when she doesn't want to necessarily be your mom, right? And then these are just ideas. And then the other one is like a gratitude journal for yourself, which I read somewhere in a study that it has been shown that in a journal practice, practicing gratitude once a week is stronger than practicing it every day. So maybe find a balance, maybe a couple times a week, once a week, and just see what works for you. I find for me, it's much easier to do a gratitude practice with a journal about once a week for my gratitude journal and then twice a week for my husband's gratitude journal. However, sometimes I go like a month without doing either, and then I make up for it later. So that's one way into gratitude. And the reason you want a gratitude journal too is just like when you focus on that energy, it draws more of that energy towards you. So if you're going through a hard time, like be there in your hard time, feel your feelings and get it out of your body, but then also focus on the gratitude. So that way, more of what you desire and more of what you want can find its way to you as you create that space through healthily expressing emotions for those things to show up, right? And then the other thing I want to touch on is gratitude offerings. For a while, I didn't really know how to go about doing gratitude offerings. I kind of just figured it out for myself. And I find my favorite gratitude offering is feeding the stray cats and leaving bird seed out for the birds and providing water to the bees and the wasps. That is my way of saying thank you to the universe for all the good that it brings me. It's my gratitude practice. I practice through my connection with Mother Earth, who is my divine mother. Um, I love doing it this way. It feels good to give gratitude in this way. It's feasible to do. There's also kind of like that energy exchange that goes into it because you have to buy the bird seed and the cat food, right? Um, and then so it's kind of like you're like, thank you. You're worth it. Like, thank you so much for all that you do to me here, do for me. Here's a little bit of my own investment to say thank you to you, universe, divine mother of all that is, goddess, creatrix of all that is, God, creator of all that is. I believe in both the divine father and the divine mother. But I've been focusing a lot on the divine mother lately because I spent enough of my life focusing on the masculine energies. So anyways, I do birdseed, especially if I have like some really good big stuff coming in or my cup feels really full. I will I have multiple birdseed spots. I think I have like 3 or 4, I'm trying to remember. But I'll go fill those all of the containers. And then in my mind or out loud, I'll be like, thank you so much. I'm so grateful for like that $500 that showed up and surprised me. I'm so grateful for like the new clothes I was able to buy because I've lost weight. I'm so grateful for blank as I fill the birdseed containers. And then I also sometimes will do like what Mama Gina would call favorite frames. And I'll be like, universe, I so favorite frame that moment that like Chris bought me that delicious meal and it just made me feel so full and so nurtured. And thank you for that. And favorite frame moments, no matter how small or how big. And I also say thank you as I do my birdseed refills, as I feed the stray cats, as I change the cat's water bowl. And then I have a little bird bath. And with that bird bath, I dump it out every day. And then I refill it with fresh water for the birds, yes, but lately it's been so hot they haven't really used it. But I noticed the bees and the wasps love using it, and those are my pollinators for my garden. And so I need to say thank you to Mother Earth for sending those pollinators to tend to my garden so my garden can provide me the harvest that it provides me, which is not just a physical yum yum harvest. It's like it teaches me so much about my insides, so much about self-care, so much about patience and processes and progress and growth. Like my garden is like such a form of abundance for me. And so I'm very grateful for that abundance. And I take care of that abundance by taking care of my pollinators. So I refill my bird bath every day. And I take joy in watching the little wasps fly in and then they kind of like belly flop onto it and then like drink the water and then fly away. It's cute. Um, so yeah, that's how I go about doing gratitude offerings um in my more day-to-day life. However, if I go into nature and I find like a sacred space that I really enjoy, I like to leave a gratitude offering where I bring like a little stick of incense and I light it in a spot that I know is not going to catch on fire. Or usually I have like a water bottle and since I do energy work on myself in nature, I tend to bring water to hydrate. Plus usually it's hot, but I try to save a little bit of the water and I water like a little plant in that area saying thank you to all the elements of the light that were there holding space for me as I did my practice out there or whatever I was doing out there. Um, I sometimes leave like little orange peels after I snack on an orange. I'll leave some orange peels as a thank you. Sometimes I'll bring some dried sage that has fallen off of my sage plant in the garden. I'll bring that and leave that as a thank you. Uh, Trying to think. If I don't bring anything, oh, sometimes I bring cornmeal, sometimes I don't. If I don't bring anything, I use my voice. If I forget to bring it, I'll just sing. I'll sing my gratitude. I'll be like, "Thank you so much for all that you do for me, Divine Mother. Thank you, thank you, thank you." And I do it from my heart. And then that way, my voice is like an offering, kind of like the Little Mermaid when she sings, and it's just like so pretty. That's how I am when I like sing for Mother Earth. I thank her, and I thank the elements too. I thank them for taking care of the land sometimes when I sing. And I just make up the words as I go, whatever feels natural and most aligned with like my heart. That's what I sing if I'm leaving gratitude offerings. And also, I forgot to mention, I have a Mother Earth altar outside. And so sometimes if I don't have time to like refill all the bird seed, or maybe I don't feel like I need to refill all the bird seed, I just want to acknowledge to the universe, like, thank you. I'll go ahead and light an incense. Sometimes it's a blessing incense, sometimes it's a money incense, sometimes it's just like my favorite incense smell. And I'll light it and just be like, thank you so much. Thank you for this incense. Cause I mean, goodness, there was a point where like I couldn't even afford incense or sprays for my sessions, like, cause I was so tight on cash. And like now, like I don't even like think twice about it. It's so easy for me to receive incense and sprays and stuff to utilize in my sessions. But yeah, there'd be a point where I'd be like, thank you so much for this incense. Please keep it coming. Or like when I travel, I like to leave a gratitude offering for safe travels to and from. So like I'll leave an incense on my Mother Earth altar when we leave. And then I'll say a prayer to Archangel Raphael and the traveling angels and the dragons that assist with travel. And I'll be like, hey y'all, can you please, like, say it much more eloquent than this, but I'll be like, can you please like ensure that we have safe travels wherever we're going, and please keep us out of the way of delays and storms and like any other things that are not to our liking that we don't want to experience. And please like give us seats next to each other, or if we're traveling like by plane, or please like ensure that we find gas stations that aren't like super expensive. And like, yeah, I'll just pray to the angels and to Mother Earth, and I will place the incense in the pot, and then we go. And then when we come back, I do the same thing though. I put the incense in my flower pot on my Mother Earth altar, and I say thank you so much for all the safe travels, and I list all my favorite things and the things I'm grateful for from the travels to show my appreciation. And then I just leave a incense there. I tend not to do incenses while I'm traveling like round trip, because to me, like, I started on my Mother Earth altar and I ended on my Mother Earth altar, just like I start in my home airport and I end in my home airport when I'm doing travel. And I mean, I'll do like a little gratitude dance on the way if something cool happens, but like, yeah, that's just my way of working with gratitude in my Mother Earth altar. And then speaking of gratitude dances, like anytime, maybe I don't have time to do an offering, maybe I don't feel like doing like an offering, maybe I'm running low on stuff, or maybe it's just what feels right in my body. Like anytime like I receive something I'm excited about, like for example, when Chris sold a bunch of paintings that helped us move to Florida, um, I grabbed his hand and I was like, let's do a gratitude dance. And then like we literally just played a song in the living room and just started dancing. We're like, thank you so much. Thank you for the money. Thank you for the support. Thank you. We're moving to Florida. Yay. And I'll just do a gratitude dance. And at first it feels kind of awkward and silly, but the more that you do it and the more that you feel so alive in gratitude and thanksgiving within yourself, the more you feel it in your connection with source. And it just feels right to gratitude dance at that point, right? And so yeah, we'll do gratitude dances for that, or I'll do a gratitude dance if like we have a really good visit with like his parents, because it's taken me a while to get to that point. Like I had to work through a lot of abandonment wounds to be able to interact healthily with Chris's family. And so I always like give a little gratitude dance when it goes well, and then I favorite frame it to kind of digest the experience, which favorite framing is a way of digesting pleasure, like frame by frame, like a camera, but also it's a way of like giving gratitude and showing appreciation for like an experience, right? So there's that. And then what other ways do I do gratitude? And then I share with like other like sister goddesses on WhatsApp, like the things that I'm grateful for, especially if I'm like celebrating something. So Mama Gina has this thing called bragging where like she teaches you to brag about the things you're celebrating instead of being a victim and not celebrating things, right? So there's something that I've been working on behind the scenes that like I don't feel safe sharing with my family or with like Chris's family, or maybe like um I just want to keep it protective in a safe bubble. Then I'll do my brags and my gratitudes on WhatsApp with some of my sister goddesses. And that way, since they've been in the same boot camp as me, they're able to celebrate with me. So I'll be like, I brag that today I hosted my first, I don't know, I hosted my first like how to make your own flower essence class, or I hosted my first belief systems workshop, and I bragged that it went really well, that it was well received. I bragged that people are asking me to do another class. I bragged that I uh, I bragged that I enjoyed it more than I thought I would. I bragged that all those fears I had just dissolved and like my inner light took over. So like I'm celebrating all these things by saying I brag this, I brag that. And then my sister goddesses will be like, "Woo, well brag girl, you go girl." And then they'll upright it. They'll be like, "Man, that must be so empowering. Like I'm so proud of you, all that hard work." And that's a way to like help me anchor into what I'm celebrating and do so from a place of confidence and gratitude. So yeah, that's another way that I work with gratitude. And then my husband and I in our marriage, we work with gratitude because it helps us in digesting all the pleasure and the blessings that are in our life, especially now at this point. And so I'll be like, "What were some of your favorite frames from that date, honey?" I don't really call him honey. "What were some of your favorite frames from that date, bear babe?" That's what I call him. And then he'll be like, "Oh, I favorite frame, blah, blah, blah." And they'll be like, "Oh, wow, that's so well framed." And then he'll be like, "What are some of your favorite frames?" And I'm like, "Oh, I favorite frame, blah, blah, blah." And you keep it simple, not a whole story. And then he'll be like, "Well framed." And then that way we're witnessing each other digesting, we're making room for more pleasure to come through, and we're appreciating, which appreciation is in alignment with the energies of gratitude. And so, yeah, that's my take on gratitude. Um, I also just like to like Oh, I like to, give gratitude for my meals. I started picking up this habit listening to the biofield tuner Eileen McCusick, and I forget which biofield tuning it was. I think it was in her food series, but she talks about like really being in gratitude for your meals, even the meals that aren't necessarily like the most like, I don't know, desirable meals. Maybe like you're like a health nut and you're like, oh, I hate McDonald's, but you're like, on a long trip and McDonald's is like the only thing you can eat. And instead of being non-appreciative about it, she had said to really just get into the energy of honor and gratitude with that meal, and to really like envision yourself sending gratitude all the way down the line of people that brought that meal to you and made it possible for you to even eat this as you're like hangry in the middle of a road trip. So she said to do that, like picture the place where like the meat was developed. Picture the place where the meat and the bread were packaged. Picture like the cashier, picture the cook, picture like the animal, of course. Picture the grains that went into the bread or whatever. Like picture all of that and just give thanks for it and be like, I thank you. And I send blessings to all the people that contributed to making this meal for me. I send blessings to all of their family. I ask that Goddess and God bless this person and their family with prosperity and abundance and beauty. Thank you so much for this meal. Thank you to all the life forms that went into creating this meal to sustain my life form. I appreciate you. Thank you. That's another way of showing gratitude that I do. And that's also my way of just like praying over my food nowadays. Like I really enjoy just giving thanks in that way. It just feels better in my body. And I feel like it even digests better in my body also. Um, and then yeah, I think that's pretty much my like points and insights on gratitude. So you have gratitude journaling, you have gratitude offerings, gratitude dances, and a prayer of gratitude for like your meals. Uh, and yeah, like that. Yeah, I think it wraps up. I feel like after I finish this video, I'm gonna remember like one more thing and be like, damn it, it's already like done. But whatever, I guess it is what it is. Um, Anywho, I appreciate you and I am grateful for you taking the time to take this time to learn about gratitude. So that way you can be one that radiates gratitude and beauty everywhere you go as you get into your gratitude practices. And feel free to leave in the comments any things you do to use as like gratitude offerings or like how your gratitude journal works or what you found useful. I love like hearing feedback. It's very useful for me to come up with more video ideas as well as just like interacting with my community. So thank you so much. And I hope you have a great rest of your day or evening wherever you are. I appreciate you. I am grateful for you. Namaste. Aho, be well. Thank you.